Assalamualaikum and very good morning, everyone. Welcome to this collaborative research support engagement series brought to you by USM Library. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Musa Muhammad Ghazali. I'm a librarian at University of Science Malaysia. Will be your moderator for today's webinar. I would like to welcome our special guest for today's webinar, Ms. Cheng Julin, Clarivate Regional Solution Consultant. Good morning, Ms. Julin. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We hope that everything is going well and smoothly on your side. We can't wait to listen to your presentation today. As of now, we have 154 participants registered for the event, consisting researchers and postgraduate students. For your information, Web of Science is currently subscribed by USM and can be accessed through the USM Library website. It should be accessed through the off-campus login via OpenAtens. Before we start, I want to make a few announcements. All participants will receive an e-certificates and CPD points for USM staff. You simply need to fill in our feedback form. The link will be provided at the end of the session. During the session, you can ask any questions related to the topic in the chat box, and the speaker will answer them as time permits. Please note that a recorded version of this webinar will also be available on the YouTube USM Library TV channel later. So now we have reached our main agenda, where we will listen to the tips and guidance from our distinguished speaker. Therefore, without further ado, I would like to invite our speaker, Ms. Cheng Julin, to proceed with a presentation entitled Research Discovery and Managing Your Researcher Profile Using Web of Science. Ms. Julin, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. A very good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. I want to say that I'm very happy to be able to present to USM again today. I think I've been doing this for quite a number of years already, so very happy to be able to work with the library again on this series of webinars. So before I proceed to the main agenda, I just wanted to self-introduce myself. My name is Julin. I'm based out of Singapore, and I am the Regional Solution Consultant for Clarivate. So what does a Regional Solution Consultant actually do? I actually interact a lot with the librarians, with the researchers, as well as research administrators within the institutions around the region. So historically, my background has always been in publishing. So I've worked with various publishers, and I've always been giving insights into how researchers are able to produce more impactful research, sharing tips on how they can identify emerging trends, how they can find suitable journals to publish in, and also give some insights on what publishers are thinking. Okay. So hopefully with today's session, I think we have quite a lot of time. So there's definitely enough time for questions. If you have any questions, feel free to put that into the chat. I will monitor the chat as we progress because I don't want to leave it to the end. Otherwise, it will be hard to come back to what you were referring to when you were posing those questions. Right. So for today, what's our focus? What I'll be doing is I will be sharing with you a quick overview of what the company is. So Web of Science is actually a part of a bigger company under Clarivate. So Clarivate actually has many different solutions. I'll introduce a bit about the company so that you have an idea of who we are. And then I will deep dive into Web of Science, how you can use it for research discovery, and also the highly anticipated segment, which is how to claim your researcher profile on Web of Science and also maintain it. Okay. So for bandwidth, I'm going to turn off my video. Okay. But rest assured, I'm still here. All right. So who we are, I think historically, many of you or many of your faculty leaders or senior researchers all knew Web of Science as ISI, okay, Institute of Scientific Information. But back then, ISI was part of the Thomson Reuters company. Over the past few years, we had a lot of transition, a lot of changes, and now the Web of Science is under the umbrella company of Clarivate. And just last year, Clarivate actually acquired ProQuest. So now Clarivate and ProQuest are part of the same company. So who are we now? We are providers of research solutions, informatics, that cater to all walks of university life. Everything, across the world, we have over 400 universities that are using our services. It could be Clarivate services, ProQuest, Ex Libris, and in all, 26,000 plus libraries are having our solution. Okay, as researchers today, you might want to know who else, how many fellow researchers are using our services. We're talking about 130 million plus students and researchers around the world. So what are the solutions that I'm talking about? We have solutions around the library workflow. That means from the library's perspective, how they can showcase the collections to users like yourself as researchers. We also provide solutions for research evaluation and management. These would be pertaining to research administrators within your university. So, for example, your research office might want to know who is funding your research, who are your collaborators, what's the impact of the research that is coming out from USM. So we have solutions around research evaluation. Third, we finally have the set of solutions pertaining to researchers like yourself, where we include scholarly content from ProQuest. We include aggregated information like the information you'll be getting from the Web of Science. So this is a slide that maybe would give you an idea of which products or which solutions under Clarivate would fit into the different stages of the research lifecycle. So just for the benefit of today's agenda, what we have would be the Web of Science. So we would definitely be covering the Web of Science content. We will definitely be looking at a little bit about insights based on the metrics that we have on Web of Science. So these all are part of the research workflow. Okay. So for Web of Science, you can use Web of Science for conducting your research. So that means you identify papers to publish, identify papers to use as your reference or for your literature searching. Web of Science can also be used to identify potential journals that you can publish in. Okay, so I will also be sharing a little bit about that in my session. All right, so that's a quick overview of the company, Clarivate. So Web of Science is part of this big umbrella family under Clarivate and ProQuest. So to guide you into the Web of Science segment, I just wanted to show this phrase on the screen. I always show this during my sessions because I want you to think about how you currently search for content. I think for most of you, including myself, when we are looking for research papers or anything, so finding information, we always turn to Google, type in a keyword, and see what pops up. Keyword searching is great. It's easy, it's fast, and it can bring a lot of results. However, there are some challenges to just using keyword search alone for your research literature searching. The reason is because when you're using keyword searching, you're only looking for the occurrence of those keywords within the text of the literature. So things like the full text, the abstract, the title, keywords, you're searching on these portions of the content. So it just shows you that it appears, but it does not help you in identifying the evolution of the technology or the research topic that you are interested in, because it's purely just identifying the paper. Hence, it's always good to include an a very comprehensive search of the citation network. Okay, so before I explain what is a citation network, I hope all of you know what is a citation. Okay. A citation is a reference to other published materials. So meaning that if you have used an older research to substantiate a point that you were making in your own paper, you will need to use it as a reference. So once you have used it as a reference, that paper gets one citation. Okay, so this is to acknowledge that you have used some content within the previous papers that you were looking at. And because of this, it helps to establish relationships between papers. So citation is like a form of relationship between research documents. And because of the comprehensiveness of how we index the content in Web of Science, we index the full reference list of every single document. You are now able to quickly identify the network of citations based on a set of papers you were interested in. So first step is I do a keyword search, find documents that you think is interesting and has sparked some idea for you. And then from those originating papers that you were looking at, you start to explore those papers' citation network. Because from exploring the citation network, you will be able to uncover more information. So to explain this network, I want to guide you to this area here where we are looking at a 2012 document. So let's say you did a literature search, a keyword search, and you found this 2012 paper that was interesting and you think maybe you want to explore perhaps a research topic in this area. Then from this 2012 paper, you can start exploring the citation relationship. So how do you find this citation relationship? The first thing is to look at the reference list. So looking at the older documents that were used. So this would be under the cited references used by this 2012 document. So these documents in blue would usually be the older papers that were published before this 2012 one. Okay, so we're talking about cited references. Then if you want to explore what has happened after the publication of this 2012 paper, you want to find out which newer papers have cited it. So you would look at the time cited and see those papers in green. So now you have two directions of searching, right? So you can look at the older papers, you can also look at the newer papers. This gives you a fairly good timeline of this research evolution and direction. There's a third way of exploring this citation network within Web of Science, which is through what we call the related records. So related records are basically papers that share similar references with this 2012 one. So it might have used various references like those in blue, but they might not have cited each other. So when that happens, we classify them as related records. So with these three options, you now have a very comprehensive way to identify the whole spectrum of timeline for that research that you were interested in, and also identify a larger pool of related papers that you might want to read so that you can use it as part of your own reference list. So when is this citation network particularly useful? It is when keywords to a topic is not easy to define. So an example would be, I believe there's a lot of business or social science topics that are very general. So when you're typing in certain keywords, it becomes very murky. So the results that you get will become very murky, where you aren't really able to identify precisely what a particular topic. Okay. The other use case is when you need to trace older research and identify research trends. So an example would be if you're working in, say, chemistry. Okay, so chemistry, usually you're working with chemical compounds. You might be working in biochemistry. So you might want to know how that particular chemical compound has been utilized previously. and whether there's any potential use cases now that you might want to explore that is new and novel. Because identifying research trend is important to help you to identify novel ideas. And it is very important to have novel ideas. Why? Because if you want to publish in high impact journals are always looking for breakthrough ideas and new ideas in science. So definitely you need to do something that is out of the ordinary, all right, to catch their attention. Okay. Okay, in the chat, I think somebody asked me to repeat how you can locate related records. I'll share with you the actual workflow, like the clicks, where to click and stuff like that in my actual walkthrough, so that you are able to know how to locate these related records. But as I mentioned, related records are those that have shared similar references with the original one that you were looking at. Okay. Okay, so what is covered in the Web of Science? So the Web of Science platform actually covers multiple databases. So it could, depending on the subscription, it would include things like InSpec, Biosys. But for USM, I believe currently you only have access to the Web of Science core collection. So the Web of Science core collection is our in-house curated content. So when researchers say whether a journal or an article is indexed in ISI, okay, they are referring to the Web of Science core collection. Okay, so the Web of Science core collection includes 4 journal indexes. So we have the Science, Social Science, Arts and Humanities, and Emerging Sources Citation Index, and also conference proceedings and books. Okay, so all in all, these are the content that you are potentially accessing. So almost 21,000 plus journals, 200 plus thousand conferences, and over 100,000 books potentially. Okay. One thing that I want all the newer researchers to understand is that the Web of Science core collection is not a full text database. So it helps you to identify, it's a citation index database. So meaning that you will only be able to see the title of the article, the journal it's from, the abstract, the full authors list, the full reference list. It is meant to be a tool to help you to quickly identify useful content for your own reference. And if you do need the full text content, there is always a link to the publisher's website, and access to the full text will depend on whether your university library has a subscription to those specific journals. Okay. So how is this content selected? It's all based off our publisher neutral selection process, meaning that for Web of Science and Clarivate, we are not publishers. We do not publish any journals. Hence, when we are selecting the content to be indexed in the Web of Science core collection, we are solely basing it on its relevance to the Web of Science researcher community and whether it has fulfilled our 28 criteria for selection. So the 28 criteria that we use to select the journals is meant as a way to curate trusted content for researchers. Okay, when I say trusted content, it is meant to help you to avoid the potential of publishing in predatory journals. Because nowadays there's so much predatory journals out there. There's also fake journals. There's also clone journals. You might fall prey to these unethical content. So for Web of Science, we place a lot of emphasis in this curation so that when we are bringing you the content on Web of Science, it's all trusted, and you would be rest assured that everything has been curated according to the strictest criteria. We also have open access content. Okay, so open access would mean that it is free to read because we also index open access journals. And many of you would say, oh, but you said that open access journals are potentially also predatory journals. Okay, yes, potentially. However, not all open access journals are predatory. Okay, some of these open access journals are really impactful journals, and they do get indexed in the Web of Science. Okay, so currently in Web of Science, we have maybe close to 20 to 25% of its content, which is open access. So it's definitely, you're definitely able to access at least 20% of the content here in full text. Okay. How we select and classify the content is based off our 28 criteria, like I mentioned before. But there is a difference in the way that we classify these journals. So once a journal gets into the queue for evaluation, okay, so let's say a journal wants to be indexed in Web of Science. Once it's in the queue for evaluation, we will evaluate it for 24 quality criteria. If it meets the 24 quality criteria, it will be indexed in the Emerging Sources Citation Index. So the ESCI covers journals across multiple disciplines, different disciplines, and they have fulfilled 24 of the 28 criteria. If these journals meet an additional 4 impact criteria, they will then be indexed in our specialized collections, which is the Science Citation Index Expanded, Social Science, and Arts and Humanities Citation Index. All right. The other thing that I wanted to emphasize in the call today is that currently only the SCIE and the SSCI journals have a journal impact factor. Okay, so SCIE and SSCI. So only these two indexes have journals that have journal impact factor, and only these two indexes have journals with quartile JIF, journal impact factor quartiles. Okay, so when you're talking, when USM Research Office is asking you to publish in Q1 Web of Science, okay, they are specifically referring to those that are in SCIE or SSCI that have a journal impact factor and a journal impact factor quartile of Q1. Okay, so I hope that clarifies it. The next thing I wanted to also announce is that for when June comes along, we will be releasing the latest journal impact factors for journals. And when that happens this year, we are going to include journal impact factors for AHCI and ESCI. Okay, so it's something that you can look out for. So for AHCI, ESCI, currently, there's no impact factor, but in June this year, there will be journal impact factors given to these journals as well. However, there might be still a difference in terms of the quartiles. So do refer to, do keep a lookout for our announcements, and we will definitely do another session for USM when the time comes to explain the differences between the journal impact factors. Si Kyung, you have a question. Can you remind how many criteria for ESCI? Yes, so the journals in ESCI have to fulfill 24 criteria, 24 quality criteria. Okay. Somebody raised their hand. If there's any questions, you can feel free to type those into the chat and we can address that. Otherwise, I'm not sure whether you can unmute yourself to ask, but maybe for those who want to unmute to ask, we leave it to the end so that we don't disrupt the session. Okay. Okay, I mentioned about open access. So how do we do this? We work with Impact Story and Unpaywall to identify the articles that are open access. And when that happens, we definitely give you a logo next to the content to let you know that this is open access and you are able to view the full text for free. When I go into the demonstration later on for Web of Science, I will be showcasing not just the citation network, but I will also be highlighting some of the data evaluation tools that we have on the platform. Okay? When you're looking in Web of Science, you are able to do some analysis on the search results that you identified. The two features on the screen are what are commonly used. So there's an analyze results feature and there's a citation reports feature. The analyze results feature allows you to take a closer look at the search results. In what way? You're able to explore things like who are the authors of these publications. You're also able to identify which are the institutions or affiliations that are publishing this set of content. You're also able to identify the funding agencies that have funded this set of documents. You're also able to see publication titles, so journal titles, and that are part of this list of publications. So potentially, what you are able to answer with using this feature is who are the prolific authors and researchers that I can partner with in this topic? Which are the institutions that I can partner with on this topic? Which are the publications or journal titles that I can submit my manuscript to if I'm publishing in this topic area? Okay, so all these are potential use cases for this analyzed results. Now, the citation report feature can be quite useful when you are writing a grant proposal or you want to explore whether this topic is still relevant and still published in an increasing trend. Okay, so when it comes to grant applications, most of the time you need to prove that what the topic area or the research that you want to do is still relevant and it's still of interest to the community of researchers. So on this screen here, you can kind of see a rising trend in terms of the publication numbers. So this would tell you that there is still a potential for this research area if you want to do this for your own research topic. So you can screen grab this chart and use it as part of your grant proposal evidence if you want to. The other use case for the citation reports is the analysis for the institution. So you want to see whether what's the citation performance and the publication productivity of an institution. You can search for the institution's publications and then run this citation report. Okay. We also have some filters and sort functionalities that you can use to help you to surface more content. One would be the one on the left, which is the highly cited and hot papers filter. This is available for USM users. So when you are searching within the USM network, so once you're logged into Web of Science, you go in and you search the content. On the left-hand side, there is a list of filters, and these two are very useful. Okay, what is the highly cited paper filter? These are filters that help you uncover papers published in the past 10 years that have received citations enough to put them in the top 1% of their academic field. Okay, so this is the cream of the crop of the papers in that topic area. Then the hot papers, this is used for identifying papers that are trending, that are hot, newer research. Okay, so these are papers published in the latest 2 years, and they have enough citations to put them in the top 0.1% of their field. So when you're filtering hot papers, this helps you to uncover new novel areas of that research topic. On the right here, we have our sort functionality. So once you have type in a search within Web of Science, the search results page will have this list of sort functionalities to choose from. One of them is called the usage count last 180 days. This is to help you to identify documents that have been highly used in the past 6 months. So when we talk about highly used, it's also a way to indicate interest. So if the papers have been used more, it kind of helps to highlight that, hey, many people are observing this paper, looking at this paper. Why? So it helps you to uncover another perspective for trending topics. Okay. So I mentioned about full text access. If there is a full text available, there is always a link to the full text from the publisher. So in this case, you can see here there's a lock icon. This means that this document is open access. So there is a link to free full text from publisher, and that's where you go to access the full text PDF or content. The other thing that you can do is to install this plugin called EndNote Click. Okay. Later on, I will also show you where to install this. Once you've installed EndNote Click, immediately when you're searching in Web of Science, if there is a PDF available, immediately you can see this link called View PDF with EndNote Click. And with one click, the PDF will be there on your screen. Okay, so you don't have to search again to find the document. We have the different levels of open access here. I think this is more pertaining to if you want to do some kind of analysis on open access content, this might be helpful. If for the library, you might want to use this to analyze things like how much of the articles in a particular journal is open access. Okay. There are some personalization features available on Web of Science, and this includes managing a set of results or customizing a set of content. So we have this thing called mark list, which is kind of like a bookmark list. So you can create a custom set of content from your searches, and these are called mark lists. So you can build up to 50 mark lists, and within each list, you can put up to 50,000 records from the Web of Science. Once you have saved such lists, it will appear here under your own saved list. And once you go into any of these lists, you can also do the analyze results and citation reports for those custom set of data. Okay. You can also export the content. So if you are using our reference management tool, which is EndNote, you can export directly to EndNote Online or EndNote Desktop. If you are using other reference management software, there is an option to export into an RIS file, and you can then use this for the other reference management software. We also have export to Excel. So if in the event that you want to combine this data set with another platform's data set, you can export this and then combine it accordingly. There is also a app available. So if in the event you want to search on Web of Science on your mobile phone or mobile devices, there is an app available on Google Play Store and iOS. So you can actually go in, download this app, log in with the credentials that you have registered within USM, and you will be able to search on the go. Okay. And the last two slides before I go into the demonstration is the Web of Science researcher profiles. On Web of Science, we have since last year integrated Publons into Web of Science. Okay, so some of you might have heard of Publons before. It was our free public-facing profile platform, and we have now integrated that into the Web of Science. So Publons is no more. All right, now it's all called Web of Science Researcher Profiles. We have incorporated all the other features from Publons into the researcher profiles. So you are able to include your peer review work, your editorial memberships, and we also surfaced more metrics to help you to showcase your research and performance better. You're also able to integrate with ORCID. So if you have an ORCID ID, you can actually synchronize it with your ORCID login, and you will be able to maintain both profiles simultaneously. If today's training is not enough for you, there is a self-guided training session for researcher profiles. So feel free to scan this QR code, and I'll also be providing this set of slides to the library, and they will be able to share this with you. But you can definitely go in and use any of these self-guides to work through how you can claim your researcher profile. All right. So let me just double check whether there's any other questions before we go to the session, the deep dive. No questions? Okay. And in that case, to access Web of Science, I think earlier on, Musa had actually explained to you how to access Web of Science via USM. So just make sure that you are within the, you log in via the USM library and then search for Web of Science. Okay. So once you're on Web of Science, the first thing is if you want to register for your own login, okay, you can by going to, there's a register button at the top right hand side of the screen. You will be able to do a registration. Okay. One thing is that once you have registered, that serves as your researcher profile login as well. So I always recommend you to use the email that you publish with. So if you use USM email to publish your papers, register with the USM email. Once you leave, if you leave USM, you can still log in with that same email and password, and you can set a alternative email address later on. Okay. But for now, do remember, if you want to access Web of Science as well as maintain your researcher profile, please register within USM and also register with your most published email address. Okay. If you don't want to register, that is fine, because you can still browse the content on Web of Science without a login. Okay, searching on Web of Science is simple. There's a document search tab. There's also a researcher search tab. The document search tab allows you to search for, like I said, documents. Within the search box here, there is all these different fields that you can search under. So topic is always what I recommend. So topic will search through the author's keywords, the abstract, and the title of the document. So it is better to use that instead of all fields. If you do all fields, it's basically searching everything, including the author's name. So in the event that you were looking for, say, green technology, if anybody has the surname Green, okay, it might appear as well. Okay, so just take note of the difference. We also have an advanced search right here. So if you click on advanced search, this is where you can build a Boolean search string. So for those of you, especially the librarians who are always helping to find papers and for researchers, you might want to build a long search string. There is all these field text available, so you can use all these field text to build a custom search string to find a more precise search result. Okay. Alternatively, if you are new to Boolean searching, you can actually use this query builder to start to build your search. So say, for example, I'm searching for hydrogen energy. I just click add to query, and it basically populates the field text into the search query. Then if I want to add an additional query, additional one, then I would say affiliation, and I look for science, USM, and I have a connector here. I can use N or not. So I would use maybe N because I want to know whether there are any papers from USM talking about hydrogen energy. So I can just add to query. So now it becomes this search string. So I can then click on search if I'm happy. And there are 251 papers from USM that is around the topic of hydrogen energy. Okay. Okay. So from here, this is the set of results from USM. Immediately, you can just go in to have a look at these documents. So let's click on one of them. So some of these are early access. So you can see here there's early access publication. And let's look at this one. Okay. So for this paper, published in December 2022, it has 1 citation so far. So when I talk about the citation network earlier on, this is where you look for the related content. So when you search for any documents, you come across one of these documents, you see the citation network. So if you want the older papers, meaning those papers that are used as reference by this document, you click on this 46 cited references. Okay, so cited references are those papers used by this document here. So if I click on 46, it brings me to the reference list. And immediately from here, I can also see the citation network of each of the references. So immediately I can see which of those documents I should be paying attention to. Okay. When you're looking at the result set within Web of Science, this link here is where you go to the full text if you want to view the full text. If you are, I mentioned about EndNote click. So this thing called Search Institution Library, this thing is EndNote click working in the background. So it is basically trying to search my institution's library to see whether this journal has been subscribed and whether the article can be accessed. Okay. If it's available, then the PDF will be there for me to click through. Okay. So this is the reference list. Let me just go back to the citation network. So once you're here, you can see the 1 citation. So these are newer papers. So this paper is new, published after this 2022 one. So if you want to click onto 1, so then you would see this document as the latest document that has cited it. Okay. So let me just go back. Then under the cited references, there is a view related records. So this is where they have shared references. Okay. Okay, so then what's next is where to install EndNote Click. Okay, if you want to install EndNote Click, there is a products list right here. Just click on EndNote Click. Then once you're here, it will ask you to create an EndNote Click account. If you have an EndNote account, I think you can use the same account to register. And it will then synchronize with your EndNote account. Okay. But one thing is that during this registration process, you will be asked on your institution name. So just put in University Science Malaysia or search for University Science Malaysia, and it will be good to go. Because the system, EndNote Click, will try and see whether your institution, if you are within the institution network, it will search within your USM library to surface those full text available for you. So that's EndNote Click. All right. So let me just go back to the advanced search. Okay. So from here, this was the advanced search that I showed you. Let me just go back to document searching using the basic search. So some of you have asked about the different databases. Okay, so depending on the subscription from USM, if you click on this drop-down arrow, there may be other databases available. So if you want to search all databases, you can choose all databases to search across all. The good thing about that is that you are able to quickly pull out documents also from other databases plus the Web of Science core collection. The limit for this is that the fields here for searching will depend on whether there's an overlap between the fields in Web of Science core collection and the other databases. So certain fields are not searchable under all databases. So if you want to do only a Web of Science core collection search, make sure that you selected Web of Science core collection. Okay. There is a topic search here. So I'm going to just quickly do a topic search on hydrogen energy, and I quickly do a search. So this search results is very large. Okay, so maybe I want to limit this search results down to something more relevant. So in the event that say you are doing a specific research on hydrogen energy storage, okay, you can either use the refined results search here. So that means you search within these results, or you can use any of the filters here to narrow down what you were looking for. We have this new filter here called Citation Topics Meso. This is a way that we have classified the research papers, and it's based on topics. So immediately, if you are keen to look at hydrogen energy and storage, so there is this option here, hydrogen chemistry and storage, or you can view see all to see which are the other topics that could be relevant. So you can then select the one that is closest to what you were interested in. Okay, so I am interested in hydrogen and chemistry and storage, energy and fuels. Then I can refine my result set. And this narrows things down to 16,000 plus documents. Okay. Now, some of you have asked some questions. So let me just have a look. So Shariza, you asked about a Google Scholar button. I can't remember where you saw the Google Scholar button, but we usually link out to the publisher's website. It's not a Google Scholar icon, so maybe it was something else. Okay. Now, Abu Bakar Abba, you have a question: how to get or download very recent articles, example 2022 and 2023. So here on the left, there will be a publication year. So you can limit this to 2023 and 2022. We include early access content. So that's why we have the earliest papers available. We also have a preprint citation index. So this one you have to use with caution. There is availability for USM, I believe. So if the library wants to contact your relevant account manager from Clarivate, we can work out and see whether we can provide you with the access to the preprint citation index. Okay. The other question is, there is no free access to Web of Science. So Web of Science is subscribed by USM Library. Are you referring to you not being able to access Web of Science itself? Just make sure that you are logged in via USM Library. Go in, log in so that you're within the USM network, and then you can access Web of Science. Okay. Okay, there are other questions about researcher IDs, which I will address later on when we are doing the researcher profile demo. What is hot paper? Any difference from highly cited? Yes. So highly cited papers are papers published in the past 10 years, and they have citations up to top 1%. Hot papers is a subset of highly cited papers because hot papers are those that are in the past 2 years, published in the past 2 years, that have citations in the top 0.1%. So a hot paper is also usually a highly cited paper, and but hot papers are used mainly to surface those papers that have been published more recently, so that you can it's more like a trending hot topic paper. Okay. All right, so I think that's all the questions for now. Let me just continue. Okay, so there are other filters here. You can see that there is not all the filters are visible to you. Okay, the associated data filter is only available if USM has subscribed to our data citation index. Okay, for the others, you should be able to see. Okay, those papers that have this enriched cited references, I wanted to quickly show you this one. So if you filter this down to those papers with enriched cited references, it gives you a perspective of where the references were used in the document. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Okay, if you click on the enriched cited references, it will take you to this little chart here, and you can see that these little dots are the references used by this document. So you can immediately see where references were used. So this one was used in the basis of their materials and methods, and you can view the in-text mentions. Okay, so you can immediately see where this reference was mentioned in the text, and this then helps you to get an idea whether this reference is useful and whether it is relevant. Okay, so we have a number of records that have this feature called enriched cited references that you can use to give you a alternative perspective to references used. Okay. Okay. Now, if you have done a long search string, sometimes you want to share this search string with your colleagues or your students or your work group. You can copy the query link and paste it into, I'm going to put this in a chat. So when you click into that, it basically replicates this same search for you. Okay. There is so let me just there is also options to build your mark list. So if you have registered for your own ID and password on Web of Science, you will be able to use the mark list. So you can choose some of these articles, okay, and create a mark list. You can either create a new list or add to unfiled. Unfiled would be something that I'm work in progress. That means I haven't saved it yet. Okay. So once you are ready, then you can save it, and then this would be your available list. You can add on to your current list as well to continue on building the content set. You can also export. So there's an export functionality here. These are all the export options. Okay. And now I want to share with you the analytics. Okay, so on Web of Science, there is the features here: analyze results and citation reports. Now, analyze results can be utilized for up to 50,000 records. Citation reports is available for 10,000 records and fewer. Okay, so try to limit your search results down to 10,000 before you use the citation reports feature. Now, if I want to do hydrogen energy storage kind of research and I want to do some analysis on this data set, I can just click on Analyze Results. And immediately I will see this chart. Okay, so this is the Web of Science categories. There is a drop-down menu so that you can see the other options. So if I want to find the countries, okay, there is a country or region that published this area of research, and I can see the full list of countries at the bottom table here. So you can see the record count and how much of it they contribute to. Okay. Then if you want to look at the institutions, we have the affiliations here. Then this would be the affiliations, institutions that you can potentially partner with if you are doing hydrogen energy storage research. If you are doing hydrogen energy storage research, you might also want to know which journals you can publish in. There is a publication titles option. And these are the journals. Okay. So all this content can be downloaded. You can download this or limit to just those papers from these journals or records. Okay. You can also limit to records from particular affiliations. So if you choose affiliations and say you only want to find the papers that were published by Nankai University, then you can select Nankai University and find results by selected, and this would then keep you to the hydrogen energy storage papers published by Nankai University. Okay. Okay. Let's go back to the search. Okay. Okay. So this was the analyze results feature. In the event that let me just try to do a citation report demonstration as well. I'll do that with an affiliation search. Okay. So if I go to the home page again, the next search that I can share with you is the affiliation search. So under affiliations, I can search for an institution. So if I'm looking for University Science Malaysia, just go to affiliations and choose University Science Malaysia. The reason why you use this one is because we have grouped the variations in names into one unified name called University Science Malaysia. Because many researchers like yourself, sometimes you misspell University Science Malaysia, sometimes you just put in USM Department something something, sometimes you just put USM. Okay, so all these different types of variation names will be grouped together into this unified source. So if you use this, it becomes a clean search for USM papers. You can also add a date range, or you can add another row to your search. So you can include perhaps year published. So if I want to look at papers published in the past 2015 to 2023, okay, then I can do a search. Then you have 26,530 papers published in the past 8 years. Now this is a large number, so maybe I just want to focus on a specific research area. Okay, then I can go and filter down to research category, Web of Science research categories. So maybe I want to see the performance of my triple E. Okay, so triple E papers are here. I can refine. And immediately I can do a citation report. And this would be the triple E papers over the years and the performance of the citations. Okay. If I want to find potential partners in triple E, maybe I can also look at which articles are citing my work. So these are documents that are citing USM papers in triple E. Okay. So here you can see analyze results without self-citation. And change this to affiliations. Then you can see that these are other institutions around the world that have cited USM's triple E papers. Okay, and you can then drill into each of these document sets. Let's say Zhejiang, refine. And these are the papers that have cited USM's triple E papers. And you can go into any one of them and see a corresponding email address. Then perhaps this could be potential partners for your research. Okay. So since this has popped up, this thing here, this blue tab here is the EndNote click. So if there's a free full text available for you to view, then you can click view PDF. and immediately the full text PDF will be on your screen, and you can download this onto your PC, or you can export this directly to EndNote. Okay. Now, Cik Ramla, you asked, affiliation replaced the term organization enhanced. Yes, correct. So previously, the affiliation search option field was called organization enhanced. Now we have changed the name to affiliation. Okay, so that's searching for affiliation. I've also shared with you topic search. I've shared with you advanced search. Now, one thing I haven't shared with you in advanced search is in the event that you want to combine searches, you can use the advanced search here to combine. So based on your latest searches in your session now, if you want to combine, say, this and this search. So my topic search on hydrogen energy and my USM search 2015 to 2023, I can combine the sets with N. Okay, and when that happens, I have my two searches combined together. And if I click on this 172, this is essentially all the USM papers from 2015 to 2023 that publish hydrogen energy. Okay. Okay. Any questions on the search functionality for documents before I go to researcher searching? Okay. There are other personalization features still available. So things like creating an alert. So if there's a new, you can create an alert for your search. You can create an alert for the citations. So that means if you click into any of the documents here, you can create a citation alert. Yeah. Oh, I think you were talking about this Google Scholar. Yeah, so this there is a link to search on Google Scholar, but I would not recommend you to use this very frequently. I think most of the time we are always using the full text at publisher or the EndNote click links. Okay. Okay. Now, once you have registered for your own ID and password, you would see your own customized homepage somewhat. So the homepage settings can be changed here. So you can go to homepage settings. You can change to whether you want to display any of these. So recent searches, latest alerts, your researcher metrics if you have published papers in Web of Science, and recommendations for documents based on what you were searching before. So you can adjust according to your preference. There is also the communication settings. So how you want to receive emails from us, you can always set here. The account settings right here is where you, let me go in here. Okay. Okay, maybe the link wasn't working very well. Let me check later on. Okay, then general settings here is for the English, the language preference. Currently we only have these as options. Okay, and you can set your default search database. So if you want to search all databases by default, you can set that. If you want to search Web of Science core collection, you can also do that. And you can also set the default rows. Okay. So that's the settings. Okay. So now, the next thing I wanted to share with you is on researcher searching. So how you can claim your researcher profile and maintain it yourself. So there were some questions. How can we start to build up our researcher profile? Very good question. So if you have published a paper before, then that is indexed in Web of Science, you can use the researcher search and search for your name. Okay. Otherwise, when you were registering for your own account on Web of Science, we will actually suggest records that you can claim for yourself based on your email address. Okay, so that's how you can start to build your profile. If you already previously had a Web of Science account, you want to search for your own name, you can do that. I'm not sure whether Leong Ye Xian, you have a paper. We can try. Leong Ye Xian. Not yet, is it? Let me see. No. So perhaps you do not have a paper yet that is indexed in Web of Science. That's why you can't find your name. However, if you want to include your non-Web of Science publications, you can always open this menu here. Under your profile, there's a drop-down arrow. Click on that and My Records and add the publication. So there's a list of suggested publications based on your email address. So if you have more email addresses, you can add them here. Otherwise, you can always include by DOI. So you can include the non-Web of Science papers by using the DOI. But just take note that the non-Web of Science publications will not have a citation count. Okay? Or you can also sync with ORCID right here. Okay. If you have peer review work, then you can click on peer reviews and you add your peer review work that you have done. So the journals and so on. So you can put all the information here. If you had editor records, you can also add editor records right here. And also any editorial board memberships. Okay, so which journal or conference you were an editorial board member of, you can include here. Okay. And there's also a new feature that we have included, which is called pending records. So if you have previously already claimed your profile and you have already maintained some level of documents there, if there's new documents indexed in Web of Science from you, there will be pending records, okay, to be added. Right. Okay, so that's how you can maintain your profile. You can edit your researcher profile here. So you can click on edit. This is where you add photo, preferred name, display name, your primary organization. So which institution you are primarily from. So because some of you have multiple affiliations, so you can actually choose your primary organization to indicate where you are currently. Okay. Okay. So how does a profile look like? Let me go to the researcher search. So let me close this. Under researcher search, okay. So if you want to find the full list of USM profiles currently, there is an organization search here. There's 3 options you can search for. My recommendation is to stick to most recent publications. So this means that whichever author or record has the latest affiliation as USM will be there. Okay. If you put all publications, it might include those that were previously part of USM, but is now somewhere else. Okay. So most recent publications and search. So these are the available author records. Okay. Let me just show you one that has been claimed. So let's look at Zainuria. Okay. So here Zainuria is published under these organizations. Okay. These are the previous published names, and these are the documents. So This is a claim record, so it has a green tick. So once the record has been claimed, there was a green tick. This researcher ID becomes a permanent one. Okay, so if you want to share your profile to others, you can copy this researcher ID, put it into the address tab right here this way. And when you share this link, I'm going to share this example in the chat. This will be your permanent profile that is public facing. So this URL can be shared with anybody outside of USM, and they will be able to see your profile on Web of Science, even though they may or may not have access to Web of Science. Okay, so the profile on for a claim record will include the documents and also peer review work. So she has peer reviewed for these two journals. And then on the right, there will be the author's metrics and H-index based on Web of Science. The author impact beam plot, this is something unique to the Web of Science. So what we've done is, let me just open this up. All these little tiny dots and long lines represent publications from this author in that particular year. If, let's say, I were to look at this article in 2020, this article that she published received 29 citations in 2020. So this performance puts it in the 94th percentile for this area of material science. So this is a top 10% paper published by this researcher. So we have plotted all the performance of every single document. And because of this, you will then be able to see the median percentile performance of this researcher. Okay. If you scroll up or down, you can also see additional metrics. There is a geographic citation map. This is quite interesting. It shows you the influence of this researcher globally. So where are the citations coming from based on geographic location. Okay. So you can see here, let's say we have Australia 9. So which of those papers are citing? So these are the citations from Sydney, Australia. Okay. So this is the metrics for the author. There's also the author position. So how much of their papers are first authored, last authored, or corresponding authored. There's also co-authors list here. So who he or she co-authors with. Okay. There's a few questions here. So let me address the question from Muhammad Fahad Anwar. You created a researcher ID on WAS, and now you have 2 IDs. So let me just check for you. So I'm going to assume your last name is your last name Anwar? Okay. Let me try. Here. Okay. Okay. So this one, is this the one that you claim? So this becomes your permanent ID. So what I would recommend you to do is you log in with the account that you have registered with, okay? And then if this is you, then you go to this particular profile and claim my record. So make sure that you log in with that account first, and then click on claim my record and verify that these 2 are yours and click on submit. Okay, so once you've done that, then the profiles will be merged together into the green one, this one. Okay, so just take note, green means it has been claimed. So that means this is your own login already. So what you do is log in with this account and claim this unclaimed profile. Okay, so this has no green tick, so that means it has not been claimed yet. Once you have claimed, this will be gone and it will merge into this ID. So this is your permanent researcher ID. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Muhammad Fahad Anwar. Nurul, you have asked, Nurul Azura, you asked if you can edit researcher profile on behalf. For those profiles that have not been claimed. So let's say, for example, this one has not been claimed and you think it is not right, you can still remove publications on their behalf. Okay, so you can click on remove publications on their behalf and this will correct this record. Okay, however, if the profile has already been claimed like this with a green tick, you cannot change on their behalf. Okay, but if any of you as researchers, you have duplicate accounts, let's say you have 2 claim profiles and you want to merge into one, just write an email to us. I will put an email address here, wasgsupport@Clarivate. Okay, just drop an email to wasgsupport@clarivate.com and they will be able to help you to merge the 2 claim profiles into one. Okay. So just take note, any changes that you make on the profiles is not instantaneous. Okay, it might take about 72 hours at least before changes will be reflected. The other thing is that if there is any merged profiles, it might take a week or so before it becomes fairly clean information. Okay, so just take note of the time lapse. Otherwise, if there's still any difficulties, feel free to just drop an email to WashG Support. Our team will be able to help you. Okay. All right. Is there any other questions about the profiles? Any other questions? Okay. If you need any further help, there's always the resource center here at the bottom right-hand side, denoted by the question mark. Some of you might not see this. If you don't see this, just make sure that you activate the cookies on the website. Okay. There will be product updates here as well. So what are the latest features released on Web of Science? Okay. Then any upcoming events will be here. There will be trainings available. So there is a Web of Science Essentials training that you can partake in. So again, this is self-guided. You can pause at any time, come back to it. And there's also a training portal with reference guides and videos. If you want to join more of our live training sessions, you can sign up for one, but these are across different time zones, okay? And not just catered to USM. If you have any requirement for help, there's an online help available. You can submit an inquiry. There's a data correction site. So in the event, like let's say one of your published papers is missing something or it has misspelled your name, you can always submit a data correction to us so that we can correct it if possible. Okay. There's a help guide, so just click on help guide and there will be a help section for Web of Science. Okay, there'll be search rules that you can read through. So these are all the search rules that we include. Then in terms of managing your accounts, all these details are all here, including things like system requirements, researcher profile details. So these are the researcher profile information. Okay. And that's it. So let's come back to here. Okay. So I've basically shown you a quick overview of how to search for documents, how you can search for researchers. Since now we have some time, I wanted to share with you something about cited references. Search, okay? So cited references are the reference lists of the documents indexed in Web of Science, okay? So if you want to just search the reference list, you can do so here. Okay, just to give you an idea of what I mean, I think many of you, so you know the Quran, okay? The Quran is not indexed in Web of Science. However, the Quran can be used as a reference in some of these research papers. So when that happens, you can actually search for cited work, Quran, okay? And you will be able to see what are the documents that have cited the Quran, okay? Then you can select and see results. So then you would be able to see which documents in Web of Science have referenced the Quran in their content, in their reference list. Okay, so it means to say you can still search for documents that are not indexed in Web of Science. You can see how it has been utilized by Web of Science content. Okay, so I hope this extra search tip might be useful for you to find related content. And the structure search will only appear when you have a subscription to the chemistry related databases. So I think for USM, you might not be able to see the structure search here, but this allows you to search, draw a chemical structure and do a search. Okay. Okay, since we have also some time left, I just wanted to I can also just quickly show you the preprint citation index. So this is something new that we have launched, okay, and it is available for any institutions that currently already subscribe to Web of Science. So for USM, the library can reach out to the account manager to get this included. So the preprint citation index can help you to identify, say, USM papers that are currently preprint. Okay, you have 33 in preprint. Once they have been reviewed and they have been accepted by a journal, it will then move to the Web of Science core collection if it was accepted by a Web of Science index journal. Okay, so the preprint allows you to quickly uncover new research. So from a researcher's perspective, if you are able to look at preprint, you can see what's up and coming, what's the latest being trend in a particular topic. But word of caution, preprint content has not been peer reviewed. Okay, preprint means that it's the original article submitted by the researcher. It has not been reviewed by the journal. Therefore, you have to always take this with a pinch of salt. Okay, so it helps you to gain ideas, but try not to use preprints as part of your references. Okay. So this is the preprint citation index. Okay, so that's it. We have some time. So does anyone have any questions that you want to raise? I'm not sure whether you can unmute yourself, but I'll be happy to take any questions if you want to ask them live and not type it into the chat. Any questions from the audience? Musa, is there any other questions I've missed that has gone straight to the host?
So far, you answered all the questions, you know.
Okay, great.
So for the preprint, any extra charges for that?
No. So the preprint citation index can be provided to existing clients who have already subscribed to Web of Science core collection. So just if you're interested to turn that on, you just double check whether it has been turned on for USM. If it has not, then I can ask the account manager to contact Cik Ramla.
Just check there is no preprint citation.
Don't have, okay, can. I will let the account manager know that you want it turned on, then we can turn it on for you. Hello? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So any other questions from the audience? Let's see. Okay. Okay, if for those of you who have no questions, I guess thank you for your time. The recording will be shared with all of you, I believe, through the library, right, Musa?
That's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One question from C. Kyong Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Said still trying to look into how to search for the preprint index.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like there is no preprint index citation there.
Yep.
So we need to ask the Web of Science to include it in our Web of Science.
Yep. Yep. I will inform our account manager to get them to include that for you.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, then Musa, I think that's all I have for today. So I'll hand that back over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Julin, for such an insightful presentation. I believe we have learned a great deal from today's session. So now we have reached the end of our agenda. On behalf of the USM Library, I would like to extend my sincerest thanks to all participants, especially to our speaker for spending her time with us this morning. We apologize for any inconvenience during the session. Before you conclude, don't forget to complete the e-feedback form to receive your e-certificates. And for USM staff, please scan the QR code using the USM passport or click the attendance link provided in the chat box for CPD points. Please also consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, USM Library TV, and liking our Facebook page, Pusaka University Science Malaysia, for the latest updates and upcoming events. With that, thank you once again. See you again on the 1st of March 2023, which is 2 weeks from now, with the topic Research Performance, Benchmarking, and Develop Research Collaboration Using Insights. Take care and stay safe and healthy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you. See you. Bye.